I didn't see Able Seamen Cummings again until he returned to his bunk just before lights out. The bucking swell had dropped to a tolerable pitch and yaw. In the bunk beside me, the Newbie still looked decidedly green around the gills, as Seaman Shaun Cummings blundered through the hatch, clutching his bandaged head. He shot me a glance out of those narrowed eyes behind thick glasses. Cold. Like a shark, they seemed to take me in as his sea boot, still dripping, gained its footing on the small bunk ladder. "See, you and Pretty Boy have already made friends." He inclined his head towards the Newbie. His target raised a book. Nautical First Aid, I observed from the bright cover, with a flying ensign and a Naval Medic in their crisp dress uniform. Cummings spoke again, hefting his bulk into the bunk, foul weather gear and all. "That's all we need. Another bloody Nancy on the BledWell. At this rate, they'll be calling him Roger the Cabin Boy." The Newbie, whose name was John Hopkins, pretended not to notice, turning a page in his book and turning his back to the pair of us at the same time. "How's the head?" I asked, recalling the team that stretchered his unconscious body to the sick bay, negotiating the maze of hatches and companionways that led to this safe haven in what turned out was a Force-8 gale. "No better for you not doing the job you were paid for," he snarled as he began to shed his foul weather gear. Slowly, a runnel of water formed on the steel-painted deck as he shoved the bulky items clear of his bunk. He spoke again. "Now you can stow these for me, Seaman Trestle. Unless, of course, you want to take it up with your union, there is." Content with that last remark, Cummings pulled the small curtain across and switched off his reading lamp, plunging his bed space into relative darkness. Cummings had no authority over me, as we were equal in rank. I might, however, have chosen to stow his gear and mop the deck for all of us who shared the compartment when on watch or not on watched, or engaged in other sea duties. I would see. Listening to a dull snoring from above, it was clear that our shipmate was now asleep. I nodded towards John Hopkins, and catching my eye, he lowered his book, sitting up straight and running a hand through his tousled hair. He looked confused by what he'd just heard from Cummings. Keeping my voice down, I made eye contact with him and whispered, "Sorry about you having to deal with that, but he's like that with everybody. It's like he's some personal axe to grind." Seaman Hopkins had by now put down the book on a small shelf with a batten across, retaining objects in rough weather. Speaking also in hushed tones, he replied, "I guess that's what I expect. No big deal. You should have heard him going on about illegals on the mess deck last night. It's like he's on some sort of personal crusade to stop them, and he was taking no prisoners." Checking my watch, I leant forwards and drew closer to the blue-shirted seaman Hopkins. "You know," I said, "I think it's deeply personal with him. I've heard him speaking of his dislike of migrants and how they're taking over our towns and cities. There's no doubt in my mind that he's a first-order racist. In fact, I'm surprised that the Navy ever took him with those views. But I believe he's from a naval family." Standing now on the gently rolling deck, I pulled on my own sea boots for another watch. Border Patrol was always like this, even before Seaman Cummings joined the small crew of HMS BledWell at Portsmouth. Copyright Anthony E. C. Linford,